Hello everyone, welcome back to Lab for Crypto. Today we're going to have a discussion about Bitcoin FOMO level. This level is a price point which when Bitcoin reach that price, it will initiate the next wave of the bull run. This level was researched by Thomas Lee, and I will have the link in the description below. But in short, is the price point, the threshold, which when Bitcoin price goes above it, will bring new investors to the market and lead to new all-time highs. I will try to explain in detail what that model does and what actually is that price point. So if you like the content and if you find helpful what I'm just going to explain, please leave us a comment and like our video, as that will boost the YouTube algorithm to show this level to more people. Let's dive in. There is a misconception that the price of an asset has to go above the previous all-time high to start getting people interested and allocate some of their capital to that asset with the expectation of high returns. But using the research that Thomas Lee did, he found that actually this idea is not true. This level is the FOMO level, as we see on the title, is when the Bitcoin, in that case, price, stayed above a certain level 3% of the time. And the other 97, of course, is below that threshold. You see this red line here, which basically shows this threshold. When the Bitcoin price is above 49.6K, we'll start bring investors back into the market, either institutions in the case of Bitcoin or retail investors. As I am using the closing price, you will see that the current Bitcoin price, which closed in February the 11th, or if we go the 12th, is 49.9. So it's just above that level. If Bitcoin managed to be above that level for a couple of weeks, that will bring confidence to the market, and then you will expect a FOMO level, which is a FOMO region that Tom Lee noticed that usually that asset that enters this period will have gains of 200 to 400%. That means now it's at 50K, so the expected price for Bitcoin will be 150K and double that if it goes to the 400% region. So it's important to watch this level, and I wanted to remove this misconception that a lot of people had about this 3% value. It's not 3% of the previous all-time high, but 3% of the time that the price of the asset, in that case Bitcoin, to be above that threshold. And I would like to show some graphs more, which is important for you to look as we enter this FOMO region. It's important to monitor the behavior of Bitcoin holders. We can see that 70% of the Bitcoin supply has not moved for more than 6 months. That indicates, of course, that the Bitcoin holders are not willing to offload their BTC at the current prices, and they're expecting much higher. When you go to the 2-year also supply, that it has not moved at all, is at 47.67, which again, it's really important to monitor. Now I will go to one more graph, which is the profit and loss, that many of you ask me about the fact that the Bitcoin price, which is in profit, is really high, and that maybe will induce some selling pressure. Let's go. This supply is at 93.8%. And definitely when you have a high supply in profit, it can induce a selling pressure, but it depends on the time frame and the period that you are watching. For example, in the 2020 period, which was a year before the previous all-time high, you will notice that the Bitcoin supply that was in profit was between the 92 and 100% region for almost a year before we see a sustained drawdown in the supply in profit and, of course, the Bitcoin price. Therefore, when you are watching the supply in profit, you should also estimate at which region we are at now. And in my opinion, we are in the beginning of a bull run. Therefore, I will expect the Bitcoin supply in profit to stay at these high levels for at least a year. I mean, of course, with the ups and downs, before we see a sustained drawdown in price. But we're going to be always here monitoring the supply in profit. Now I will move to Bollinger Bands, which is a concern that I have, and then I will show you some stuff about the spot ETFs. This simple equation is doing an amazing job in defining the upper and lower band that the Bitcoin price should bounce within. We will see that in some cases the Bitcoin price goes above the Bollinger Band, but in the end it falls within this band and eventually even sometimes retraces to the lower region. For me, I would like to see the Bitcoin price stay in that region for a couple of weeks. Then the red line will continue to go up and the Bitcoin price, like in this region, will enter the Bollinger Band. Then, in my opinion, again, the Bitcoin price has to stay above this FOMO level, as we said before. And with the upcoming Bitcoin halving, it will have an amazing setup for higher prices. But as I said, we have to monitor these levels. And this supply shock that is expected from the halving, it will have a greater effect if the buying pressure from the spot ETFs continues. And I will show you some graphs about that. The newborn ETFs are continually buying Bitcoin, and that is applying a buying pressure to Bitcoin. The grayscale outflows are in a constant downturn, and that is really good news because the selling pressure is reducing, the buying pressure is going in the same rate until now, which this is really good news for Bitcoin. And with the Bitcoin halving in April, it will lead to a possible supply and demand shock. And we have a video about that, which we made some projections, and I will have a link in the description below. Before I close the video, I wanted to let you know that our offer is still on. Basically, we wanted to give something back to you because your support is something that we didn't even expect to have 30,000 subscribers in YouTube in less than 50 days. And using the thank you 30K code on checkout, you will get a full access to our premium plan and also in our private Telegram, which we have an extra content there, and we discuss in depth many aspects of the crypto industry and also see some of our decisions about our portfolio. But again, it's our opinion and not a financial advice. Thank you again, and until next time, bye-bye.